It starts with a car, not a crash, not a revelation, just a Tuesday morning in a dealership parking lot where you're sitting in a vehicle you can't quite afford, doing the math you've been doing for 3 weeks, and something in you finally gets tired of the math. The car is a lease, $687 a month. You make $94,000 a year. The payment is aggressive, but not impossible. And that's exactly the problem. It's possible enough that you could do it, which means the only thing standing between you and doing it is a decision. And you've been leaning toward doing it because the car is the right color and the right brand and the right signal. And signals matter when you're 31 and you've been working hard and nobody can quite see it yet. You sit with that for a moment. Because what you just described isn't a car purchase. It's a performance. And you've been performing for so long, you stopped noticing the audience. You drive home in your 2017 Honda Civic with 74,000 miles on it that starts every morning without complaint and costs you nothing beyond gas and oil changes. And something has shifted. Not dramatically, but permanently. You start noticing things you hadn't been tracking. The apartment you moved into 2 years ago is $400 more per month than the one before it. Not because you needed more space, because the new building had a gym and a rooftop and a lobby that looked like something. The gym you used twice a week. The rooftop you've been to 4 times. The lobby impresses nobody because nobody comes to visit. That $400 is $4,800 a year. Over 2 years, it's $9,600 that went toward a lobby aesthetic for an audience of 0. The clothes. You started buying from different stores around 28. Not dramatically different. Just slightly more expensive, slightly more considered. The kind of thing you could describe as an investment in presentation if someone asked. Nobody asked. And if you're honest, the upgrade happened the same week your college roommate posted photos of his new consulting job and his new city and his new life that looked from the outside exactly like the life you thought you were supposed to be building. You do the full audit on a Saturday morning with a coffee and a notebook. You track every recurring expense back to its original decision and ask one question for each one. Was this for me, or was this for the version of me I was trying to project? The number surprises you, not because any single item is outrageous, because when you add them up, the apartment premium, the clothing shift, the restaurant choices made for atmosphere rather than food, the gym membership at the expensive place rather than the functional one, the subscriptions that felt right to have even when you barely use them, the total is $1,240 a month. $1,240 a month performing a version of success for an audience that wasn't watching. You make the changes quietly. You don't announce them. You don't post about them. You don't tell your friends you've had a realization, because realizations announced are performances of a different kind. You just start making different decisions, one at a time. You move to a smaller apartment when the lease ends. Different neighborhood, lower key, $380 less per month. The building doesn't have a lobby worth mentioning. Your bedroom window faces a parking structure. You sleep better than you have in 2 years, and you don't examine that too carefully, because the answer might be too simple. You stop upgrading your phone on the carrier's schedule. You start cooking more, not as a lifestyle choice, not as content, just as a Tuesday night thing that costs less and tastes better and doesn't require you to sit in a restaurant where you've unconsciously chosen the price point based on what it communicates rather than what you actually want to eat. The $1,240 a month goes into an index fund. Same fund every month. Automatic transfer on the first. You don't look at it more than once a quarter, because watching it daily is its own kind of performance, the performance of being someone who is building wealth. The social stuff is harder than the financial stuff, because money is private and social life is not. And the same forces that drove the apartment and the car and the clothes also drive where you suggest dinner. Whether you pick up the tab when it's close, how you talk about what you do and what you have and what you're building. There's a version of this where you become the person who lectures people about money, who turns every dinner into a quiet sermon about the visibility tax and the ratchet effect and the long-run inflation-adjusted return of the S&P 500. You've met that person. You don't want to be that person, so you don't lecture. You just quietly stop performing. You suggest the Thai place instead of the new restaurant with the lighting designed to make everyone feel like they're doing well. You drive the Civic to events where other people park nicer cars, and you stop cataloging what people think about the Civic, because they aren't thinking about the Civic. Nobody is thinking about your car. You were the only one. When people ask what you've been up to, you say work and some stuff, which is accurate and boring and exactly right. Because the version of you that used to give a slightly elevated answer, one that emphasized the interesting projects, the growth, the things that positioned you correctly, that version was spending social energy the same way it was spending money, on signals, for audiences that weren't watching as closely as you thought. Here is what changes, not all at once, slowly and then noticeably. The first thing that changes is the math. $1,240 a month into a total market index fund at 7% annual return over 25 years is $979,000. Just under $1 million. Generated not by earning more, but by stopping the performance. The income didn't change. The audience changed. From other people to future you. The second thing that changes is your energy. There is a specific kind of fatigue that comes from maintaining a signal, from being slightly on, slightly aware of how you're reading in the room, slightly calibrated to what the situation is asking you to perform. You didn't know how tired it was making you, because you've been tired for so long, it felt like your baseline. When it stops, the baseline moves. You have more of yourself available for things that are actually yours. The third thing is harder to name. It's something about solidity, about occupying your actual life rather than the projected version of it. You make decisions faster because you're only consulting one person, yourself, instead of running everything through the invisible committee of people whose opinions you've been factoring in without their knowledge or consent. Your real friends don't notice the changes, or they notice and say nothing because nothing has changed in the things that matter. The friends who were drawn to the performance, the apartment, the restaurant choices, the version of you that was always subtly positioning, those relationships get quieter. You don't engineer the distance. It just appears, the way distance always appears when you stop doing the thing that was holding it closed. You're 34 now. The Civic has 91,000 miles on it, and a small crack in the rear bumper you've been meaning to fix for 8 months. You haven't fixed it. There's a guy at the index fund who is doing the fixing silently every month, compounding in a direction nobody is watching. You live in an apartment that faces a parking structure. You cook on Tuesdays. You go to the Thai place. You wear the same jacket to things that used to make you buy a new one. Nobody has said anything about any of it because nobody was ever watching as closely as you thought. That's the whole thing. That's the complete realization that took a dealership parking lot and a Saturday morning audit and 2 years of quiet different decisions to arrive at. The audience was never there. You were performing for empty seats. And the moment you stopped, the only person left in the room was you.